and welcome to this week's Gig Stories podcast with me, Chris.
And Alex, of course. How are you all? Hope you are well. How are you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, not bad. The sun's shining.
And listeners, you will probably immediately tell the difference. Chris has got a fancy new microphone and a pop shield. So you'll be hearing no sibilants from Chris. There'll be no...
They'll all be from Alex, as usual.
They'll all be from me. He's looking smart as well. He's had a father and son haircut. He hasn't had both the haircuts in one.
No, my son had the other one.
You are looking good today, mate.
Bless you. Bless
you. You going somewhere?
I'm going to go up to Bonnie, Scotland tomorrow. Oh, yes.
Oh, actually, yeah, this is exciting for both of us because you're off up north to see your family.
I'm off to the borders.
And I'm off down south for the first time in a long, long time to see my mum.
To see your ticket collection.
Exactly. That's why. No, the important thing about this is that I get to see my mum. And then I get to go up in the attic and save my scrapbook with all my ticket stubs. So you've had to put up with, and I've had to put up with just Chris's reference book, and soon we're going to get mine. I honestly can't wait. I can't wait to show you my Michael Jackson ticket, relevant to today's episode. U2, because I remember those two looking great, and the one that I really treasure, that James and Radiohead Newport Centre. They were very blah plain tickets, but it's
93.
Yeah. Oh, next to the Shaman, which was the same year.
Well, you know, I've been delaying making a page on the website with images of tickets and ticket stubs that people have sent in until we manage to get images of yours. So once we've got yours, then I will start that page, and then we can maybe start this massive wall of tickets because I want to get all mine photographed and up there, and just for reference, really. I mean, I've got my scrapbook and I've got my spreadsheet, but you know, I want it in. You know, consider it the cloud. You know, I'm putting it on the cloud.
Like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So, where are we this week? Well, this week in history, in music history, and it's impossible to ignore our situation, and we say this a lot, but also I don't want to ignore it because it's a moment in time, and you know, when we're old granddads or whatever, just old blokes, and we listen back, it'd be nice to hear where we are, where we were and what we were doing. On the weekend, I was one of the people that couldn't get onto the Glastonbury live stream experience until 2.5 hours. I felt
so sorry for them. So sorry for Glastonbury.
I did. I messaged Chris. Everyone's called Chris, aren't they? Who works for the festival, and just said he also does their social media, and I just said, I am so sorry, mate. You must be having a nightmare. But that aside, the stream was fantastic. The performances were just brilliant. It was high definition. It was atmospheric. Wolf Alice. Oh my goodness me! I've always liked them, but they were just incredible, and it made me miss the festival and just want to get back to live music. So in fact, on the weekend after watching Glastonbury, I then went through all the live listings and gigs for Manchester, marked the ones I'd like to go and see, checked which ones were on sale, which ones had sold out. I just can't wait to get out there. And what makes me even more excited, did you see yesterday, Chris, that the government have announced another trial event, which is going to be Download.
A festival-based experiment.
Yes. And what I gather, and I'm sorry if I get the numbers wrong, but I believe it's going to be 10,000. It will be a 3-day event, and they will be camping.
What's the normal capacity for Download? Is it like 5 times that amount or more?
Yeah, it's a big one. It's annoying because I've been. It was one of my first festivals. I was there in '95 when Metallica flew in just to do it in my heavy metal days. But as it's now become because it was Monsters of Rock then, it's now download. I'm not sure what the capacity is, but it's a hell of a lot more than 10,000. And they're doing the usual tests before, tests after, and it's the end of June, mate. So
yeah, which we thought kind of when we first started this podcast, we thought end of June, not a chance.
I'm still cynical because can they just jump from that straight into, I don't know, places like Kendall Corlin that are in July. Can't think of any others in July. Apologies. And you mentioned to me before we started, Latitude have announced this very morning their headline.
Yeah.
Who are they?
It's headliners.
Remember?
Just some names popped into my head. I know that Bombay Bicycle Club are playing.
Because are we sticking with British artists? That's going to be of interest to me. Are there going to be a lot of British artists so that they're not traveling in from abroad and, potentially stuck? So
off the top of my head, I think they are. Yeah.
Okay. So there's our regular documentation on the Gig Stories podcast of our current state.
I was just going to say, Alex.
Yeah.
Are you? I think you are still in your metal phase because you're looking like a member of Faith No More at the moment.
Oh, mate, I'm so glad you said Faith No More because I was worried you were going to say Limp Bizkit.
That was sorry. Did I say Faith No More? Sorry, I meant Limp Bizkit.
Damn you! Damn you! Yeah, look, I've been painting and stripping wallpaper, not just painting and then ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba.
Oh my God. There's a Limp Bizkit right there.
So yes, I'm in my decorating hoodie and my baseball cap that for my amusement, listener, I have turned backwards because it's amazing how easily I can embarrass Chris on a Zoom call. It's like when
it's just us
embarrass my child, and just to make it even better for Chris, I'm going to turn the cap sideways because no one can see me. I've got no pride. It's just Chris.
Yeah,
but he'll still feel.
I'm surprised are your jeans the wrong way around? You look like a member of Criss Cross.
Criss Cross.
Yeah,
Criss Cross, who, by the way, supported Michael Jackson in the Arms Park when I went to see.
It's the circle of life.
And Rosalla have some of
everybody's free.
Yes, they not quite, sadly.
Right.
But there's sunshine at the end of the tunnel.
Well, your cap, sorry, I was just going to say your cap. I heard the most ridiculous BBC Sounds trailer yesterday.
Oh,
and
really?
It's about Shergar, the racehorse that went missing.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's going to be a documentary on BBC Sounds, and I think there's an excerpt there from Claire Balding, obviously because she was a racing correspondent and massively in that world. And I think maybe Cornelius Lycett was talking there. I can't remember all the different characters. If I gave you 1,000 guesses as to who is presenting this documentary, I don't think you would get it.
You said baseball cap. Who wears a baseball cap?
I'm not even sure if he does wear a baseball cap, but there's that kind of vibe about him. No, I'm going to have to tell you.
Go on.
Vanilla Ice.
What now?
Vanilla Ice. No, try and find... I don't know how you would find a trailer on BBC Sounds, but yeah.
No, you're having...
No, I had to put down my tea as I was editing yesterday.
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice is he's certainly the voiceover doing the trailer
on Sugar, Vanilla Ice, and Claire Balding.
It's the combo that we didn't know we needed, but we certainly do.
All right, stop, collaborate, and listen. Ice is back with my brand new invention. Do you know that's my karaoke?
Is it? Okay,
I know all the words.
I'm just trying to find out if I can mute you for the podcast. Let me just tell you this,
right? Let me just tell you. Vanilla Ice. So back in my CBeebies days, for any of you listeners who are aware of my CBeebies days, Katie, who actually is still on CBeebies, she was telling us she did Panto one year with Mr. is it Van Winkle? Is that his name? Robert Van Winkle.
Robert Van Winkle, yeah.
Vanilla Ice. And she said it was so funny because they were sat down having notes after a rehearsal. And she said the mood was just a bit low. And then there was just sort of a bit of silence. And she said, I kid you not, he just jumped up and went, all right, stop, collaborate, and just did the song.
Really?
And I just wouldn't have known what to do with that. Now, Katie is amazing and spontaneous, so she just jumped up and joined in because she said it was
of course she did.
Her life.
Yeah.
But how funny is that? Vanilla Ice is like, hey,
I got this, guys.
Your face. Is that a frown on your face? Let me turn that frown upside down.
Yeah.
And he does his stuff. Gotta love him.
Wow.
Rest in peace, Robert.
There's no off switch. There's no off switch, is there?
But by the way, just for legal reasons, he's not dead. Vanilla Ice is very much alive, unlike Sugar. So anyway, on to...
Wow, this took a turn.
I tell you what, if we don't win awards for this podcast, mate, I tell you, there's something wrong, isn't there?
Yeah,
something wrong.
Yeah.
So take us on to today's episode, Chris.
Oh, our guest this week, fantastic, the wonderful Johnny Kelsey. So Johnny Kelsey founded the Dhol Foundation. He worked with Transglobal Underground, the Imagined Village. He's worked with Peter Gabriel, Sinead O'Connor, Tom Jones, Asian Dub Foundation. It's just a ridiculous CV, and he is just the most beautiful, lovely man who is just making me feel spiritual just talking about him.
It was one of the most uplifting conversations I've ever had, and I've never met him. And
so many kind of coincidences, and he wouldn't call them coincidences. He would just say, it's the universe. It's about manifestation and the universe. Yeah. But I'm not going to start kind of paraphrasing Johnny Kelsey. I think it's best that you just listen to him be Johnny Kelsey. Hello and welcome to the Gig Stories podcast with me, Chris, and...
Me, I am still Alex. Chris, I am still Alex this week.
You are, bless you. Today's guest is a former member of Transglobal Underground, current member of Afro Celt Sound System, the Imagined Village, and founder member of the Dhol Foundation. He's recorded or played with Sinead O'Connor, Peter Gabriel, Avril Lavigne, Tom Jones. It's Johnny Kelsey. Johnny, how are you doing, man?
I'm really good, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
I mean, the temptation for me to not just jump straight into my countryman Tom Jones, Johnny, is just outrageous. I've been wanting to ask you about Tom Jones, but maybe I'll play it cool. Hey, Johnny, how you doing?
I'm really good. Yeah, he's an absolute gentleman. He's really cool. Very
what was
very
it you played with it? I'm going
to answer this because this was. I remember I was texting you the night it was on, Johnny.
What was that?
It was the Queen's Jubilee birthday. Which one?
93rd.
93rd birthday. That was it.
You got invited to the Queen's birthday party, Johnny.
Yeah. 93rd birthday at Royal Albert Hall. Very special. Very special. Yeah, it was great. Now, where is it? Let me go over here. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
What you find in there?
You ready for this?
Yes.
So, when I first met Tom, we were playing at the Singapore Grand Prix, as you do. And Tom, he came into our dressing room and he said, which one's Johnny? I said, that's me. And I goes, hi, Tom. And he goes, do you mind if my band play before you? I said, you're Sir Tom. You have to take the headline slot. And he said, no, you don't understand, because we want to do it the other way around, because basically my boys want to watch the Grand Prix. So they basically, they gave us the headline slot.
So you got supported by Tom Jones?
Yeah, I've never actually thought of it that way.
I would think of it that way right away. Straight away.
Yeah, but that was, I mean, and then that was him in our dressing room.
Oh my gosh, Johnny's showing us a picture of him with Tom Jones here.
And then basically, then we got invited, and then, of course, when he was asked, "Would you like to collaborate?" he said, "That man there," and then we collaborated, and that was at rehearsals right there. These are all candid photos, by the way. No one's seen these.
Oh
no way!
And basically, then we were getting ready to play on stage, and that was us in Tom's dressing room.
I mean, honestly, you look absolutely fly. Tom could have made an effort.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Next to you, he looks like he's just rolled out of bed.
True, but he loves these. He loves his checkered suits, right? So
yeah, he does. Yeah, and he's a sir. He's a knight of the realm. So
he's a knight of the realm. So we have to let him off for that.
It's only a matter of years, Johnny. Then it'll be Sir Johnny Kelsey.
Yeah, we can live in hope. Yeah.
Like
the first Sikh knight in the world. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that was us on stage.
There's no Sikh knights.
No. There's a few Sikh QCs.
Right.
Queen's councillors, but there's no knights.
All right. The campaign starts here.
I was just going to say I know what campaign I'm starting right now.
Yeah, please. That would be amazing. And then it didn't stop there, because then off the back of that we ended up playing. I've got to get the years right now. I think it was 2019, the start of the pandemic, March, Westminster Abbey for the Commonwealth Service, the Royal Commonwealth Service.
Wow.
That was you and the Dhol Foundation, is that right?
And the Dhol Foundation. These were just our drummers, and we basically kind of opened the whole thing for the Beeb. And once again, no drummers have ever played in Westminster Abbey, because it's such a prestigious venue. And it was in front of the whole entire royal family. And by the way, it was also Meghan and our what's his name's last Harry's last formal engagement.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you keep watching, it's their last formal engagement. Yeah.
So Johnny's showing us the footage of it looks amazing. You must have blown the roof off.
Oh, listen, the night before we went for a rehearsal, and it was just the gentleman from the there's Kate and William.
Yeah.
And because they could only see us at this point. Hear us. They couldn't see us. And yeah, the night before, it was just the lovely gentleman from the Royal Commonwealth Service Institute, and the gentleman from, well, he was the very Reverend Michael something. I can't remember his surname. Anyway, so the place was very, there they are, was very sort of almost quite eerie at night, with no lighting and stuff. It's quite eerie, knowing that all those kings and queens are buried there.
Yeah.
And basically, once we'd finished our rehearsals, the Reverend leaned over to me when we were walking back, and he said, "I think you've woken up some very old kings and queens." And I looked at him and I said, "Yes, but I think they liked it." And he said, "I think so." He goes, I think they did. You're right.
Oh,
it made it very special. Very special indeed.
What, the acoustics must have been incredible.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah. If you want to hear the last of it. No, you're not going to hear it.
Well, if we can find it, online,
with this mic, you won't hear it.
No, but we'll put it on the website, on the webpage.
Yeah, and the BBC will take it right off.
Yeah, but with your permission, if you've got a couple of those pictures with Sir Tom, we could put them on if that's okay. Yeah,
those are my own photographs that I took.
Well, they are exclusives.
So they're really exclusive.
That is like a pinnacle of career. of your career and very recent as well. So let's go the opposite direction, Johnny.
Yeah.
Growing up in your family, did you grow up in a musical family? Was there lots of music, whether it was live or recorded music, in your house?
So yes and no.
Okay.
Directly, not really. But yes, because I had an uncle who played the dhol, and I became really interested age 7. And my dad, he sort of sent me off to the local temple for tabla lessons. So I learnt tabla, which is kind of...
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, my tabla. So basically, I learned a bit of tabla, and because I was of the age of, I wanted to basically do 4 to the floor and groove a little bit more, but they were teaching me how to count to 16 and very classical. Tabla's a very disciplined instrument indeed. Of course, I wish I'd kind of gone the whole way and learnt it a lot more better than what I can play, but I'm a groove man. I just wanted to play groove, but I got by. It was great. But what I didn't realize was tabla was a central percussive instrument around all other Indian percussive instruments. So I'm going to give you a history lesson now. History lesson. Are you ready? Right, here we go. Grandparents born in the 1900s during the Empire.
Right.
And they were British by birth because it was under the flag.
Right, okay.
Under the Raj.
Yeah.
And so after that, the Brits colonized East Africa.
Yeah.
And they needed skilled workers. They needed people that could graft, basically. My grandfather was an engineer by trade, and he fought for the British in the Second World War. He was a rifle engineer, and he was based out of Kenya, and he settled in Nairobi. They moved over for better prospects, better jobs, and there was lots of work at that time in East Africa. So the Brits, they colonized from Somalia all the way down to South Africa, basically. Was all British. And they, from Ethiopia, even further. So basically all of that coast, all of the east coast of Africa was colonized. So everybody, again, it was under the flag. So everyone born under that time was British by birth. And my parents, they went to British schools. They spoke Swahili with their friends. They spoke Punjabi at home, and they went to a sort of an English school. So they were
multilingual, yeah.
Multilingual from kids. And then in 1967, Idi Amin came into power in Uganda, and basically this was between 67 and 69. He basically said anyone with a British passport can get out of my country, even though it's neighboring Kenya. And over the wireless, because they didn't have emails or mobile phones or fax machines back then, they had the wireless, and over the wireless and telegrams started coming into Kenya saying this is happening over the border.
Yeah.
My family didn't waste any time. They had British passports, fled straight to England. The doors were open, and they let everybody in. They had to, because they're all British.
British.
Yeah, and I mean, what's the film called? Forrest Whitaker.
Loads.
It was Last King of Scotland.
Last King of Scotland. All of these movies that have come out, Hotel Rwanda, Blood Diamond, all of those are around that era. And that
absolutely. But in particular, Last King of Scotland with Forrest Whitaker about Idi Amin and
Idi Amin,
him going, you're not welcome. Go. And wow, so that was them, and so they flew to the UK.
Yeah, came straight to the UK and settled in Leeds. My dad settled in London, and he was basically renting one single room because that's all he could afford at the time. We were in Leeds because my mum's parents were already settled there and they had a place and they said, just come and live with us. So it was one of those scenarios where there was like a whole family of 5 of us living in one little box room, but we had to make it work. My parents made it work.
So I suppose what I want to, I mean, I love history. I love family history, and I could talk to you just about that for ages.
Sure.
But if I'm trying to bring to music, I suppose I'm just trying to get an idea of where and when you fell in love with music. So you grew up in Leeds, great city. You had an uncle who was musical. You also learnt at the Sikh temple. Were there any other influences? Did you have any influences from school, or was there any other family members, or was it that, or would you put it on your uncle? Was it your uncle that?
It wasn't only on my uncle, but basically back then, and we're talking like early 70s, we were kids. And as the movement happened, as more people came over, they decided that, okay, there's some people that were, let's say, they grew up in the media industry from Kenya. They used to broadcast on radio stations and things like that. So they were seeking jobs and prospects of doing something in England. So, of course, the BBC said, okay, we'll let you have 2 hours or an hour. They offered a magazine program that was on TV back in the 70s, and it was called Nay Zindagi Naya Jivan, which basically means new way, new life. Because there was still a movement that was coming over. Now, this program, because of, let's just say, a lot of people not welcoming the gates being opened, they would broadcast this program 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Right, just after the farming program, Farming Outlook or something.
Yeah, or while people were still asleep from the night before. So they would put that program on.
Do you know what I've just put together as you've just made that translation? I'm a Asian Dub Foundation fan, and of course their track New Way, New Life. And I've just thought that must be taken from that.
It is, absolutely, yeah. It was, yeah. It's one of my old bands, so yeah.
You played in Asian Dub Foundation? What? How did I not know that?
How did you not know? I mean, that was me on Rebel Warrior. That was me. I'm
What?
on the video. Yeah.
Johnny Kelsey, ladies and gentlemen.
Some of my best gigs were Asian Dub Foundation gigs back in late 90s. I mean, talk about I'm sorry, I'm all over the place here, Johnny.
It's okay, don't
worry.
worry.
I'm excited because when someone says Asian Dub Foundation, immediately I'm taken back to Liverpool University. It's the first place. That was the first gig. And I remember hearing and reading, you must see Asian Dub Foundation. If you like live music and you want a party, you've got to see Asian Dub Foundation. And I was thinking, I've got to go and see him then, I'm being told. And literally losing my head. And this was as a sober student as well. I was sober.
And there ain't many of them.
Oh, there's no alcohol or drugs going on.
Exactly, yeah.
So what was the year? What years were you with Asian Dub Foundation?
Asian Dub Foundation were
97.
Did you go to Tea in the Park with Asian Dub Foundation?
No, see, I was on their album that came out at that time, Community Music. That was me. I recorded all of the...
That is literally one of my favourite albums of all time. In fact, and it should be held up. It should be held up as one of Britain's most important albums.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, it was a really strong movement then. We recorded it at Community Music in Farringdon. So it was, it was an amazing part of my life and my journey. And then, I just I was doing lots of sessions back then, with Fundamental, and then Transglobal came along and they said, would you guest on our album? At that time, Nick and the other matey boy, they were leaving Transglobal, so it was kind of a transitional, like a swap over, if you like. Even though they were there in the studio, but they didn't do any of the touring. But anyway.
Right.
Well, I'm going to take you back a bit.
Yeah, because listeners hate me for jumping. Then they're going to want to know how you made the bridge. Sorry, Chris.
Alex, in your time machine.
I know. You said Asian Dub Foundation. That's me going.
I know, that's you gone. I mean, honestly, Buzzin' is probably one of my Desert Island discs.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, just type in Rebel Warrior, and you'll see the video. You'll see yours truly in, just play on the Dhol bit, especially.
Belting. So, live music. Did you folks take you to any live music? Do you remember live music being part of your life, even if you didn't really want to go? Because I know that was part of Alex and my growing up. Was sometimes we were taken to classical gigs or whatever, and maybe you weren't that into it, but it was what you were doing. Were you taken to gigs at a young age?
Yeah, but only sort of like music that I didn't really want to take a big interest in at that time because of my age.
Yeah.
At schools I was listening to Led Zeppelin, Duran Duran, and at home we were listening to Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan.
Yeah.
Because he was the music magazine's sort of superstar on that program, on that Nay Zindagi Naya Jivan, and they would get him to kind of guest and then they would get like other artists, Noor Jahan, loads of other just amazing musicians, and it was almost like they had a house band, and then the house band would rehearse, and then they'd get the guest singers to come in, and then they would do. So in that aspect, in my growing up, yes. The other way I was influenced with live music was because my dad had loads of cousin sisters. I'm talking like 20 or 30. We're quite a large family. 20 or 30 cousin sisters, and they all had to get married. Now, Indian weddings are a big deal when it comes to music, and noise and booze and food, all of those things. And so even though back then it was still sort of like, mid to late 70s when they were all getting married. And Indian music was very much behind closed doors. We couldn't make the noise. But, where all of my cousin sisters lived, they told the neighbors and said, look, there's a wedding. There's going to be noise for a few days, the run up to the wedding day. And, the neighbors accepted it. They came round and they would just fobbed off with loads of booze and food, and they loved it, and they just like, yeah, man, this is great. and then my uncle would get the Dhol out, where I'd just be mesmerized. And I think one time I got my tabla out, which was completely pointless because you couldn't hear it over the drum. So but I felt a part of that. It was like, I was always wanting to have a little bit of limelight, and then I turned 10 and realized there could be something bigger.
I'm interested in that, because how does a young British Indian lad surrounded by such a culturally strong music, but is listening to Led Zeppelin and that, how did you see a way out of what you would? Did you want a way out of the music you were doing and just learn a guitar and play in a rock band? Or at that age, did you already think, how can I take my heritage music and add it to what I'm hearing now growing up, like rock music?
It's kind of, it's a little bit melancholy, to be honest, if I have to describe it in that way. For the reason, the joy was obviously the music. The transitional crossover of listening to Indian music at home was kind of our way of, this is us, this is our culture, and it was our parents' way of showing us that who we were and just giving us an identity. However, the melancholy bit is because we had to find a way to fit in, and the fitting in bit gave us the formula to melt those two genres together. Age 11, I went to secondary school. I picked up a pair of drumsticks. Never played drums in my life. Age 10, before that, a year before or 2 years before, my father had one of these cigar couches, you know, the leather ones with the buttons are pushed in. Do you know the one I mean? I don't know what they're called. Anyway, it was one of those, and it was a double armchair. I used to straddle it the other way around. That was my drum kit with ceramic chopsticks as my
Yes.
I turned the arms into a snare, and then the back of it was my toms, cymbal.
What were you playing in your head?
When my parents were out, I would put on like Led Zeppelin.
So I suppose I should say just now that the drumming exhibition that I had in 2019, one of my portrait subjects was Johnny Kelsey, and it was a Chesterfield chair that we chose in Band on the Wall in Manchester, and
that's right.
And Johnny was just sat there with.
Oh yeah, I told you this story. Oh my God, yes.
No, of course, but I know the story, but nobody else does.
Yeah, no one else does.
But yeah, so the portrait that I did of you was because of that story, and it was wrapped in cellophane. Is that
That's
right?
Yeah. And basically, it was in the front room, and you know, you had to find the key for the front room to get in there, because it was one of those pristine rooms that nobody were going. It was only for guests.
That's such a 70s, 80s thing.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I would go in there when my parents were out and the stereo and the record player was in there, and I remember turning and used to play it and straddle this chair and play drums. Little did I know what I was manifesting.
Yeah. That was you on the road.
I have absolutely no clue, and it still to this day it still blows my mind, and it's where I kind of realized the power of the universe and the power of this and your heart, and knowing that you can manifest anything you want. So here we go. Are you ready for another mind-blowing thing? So Led Zeppelin, I'm playing drums to Led Zepp in my home, age 10. I pick up drum kit at age 11. I play it like I'm a natural. Years, and in that same year, the magic happened. I think it might have been 97. I ended up touring with Led Zeppelin.
And that's a picture of Robert Plant right there.
And me and Jimmy swapped instruments.
Jimmy Page. Wow. Check it out. Did you tell him this story?
Robert knows, yeah. Jimmy doesn't.
Wow.
And Robert's still he's a personal friend.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Universe. That's all you don't need to know anything else.
Just one word.
Manifest.
Universe.
Manifest with your heart like you're already there. I was playing those drums like I was John Bonham. I was playing that chair like I was John Bonham. I couldn't play half the stuff, but I was manifesting being in that band. And you know how it all worked was Transglobal, Tim and Hammy, you know, they ended up producing a track for Walking into Clarksdale. And then we,
They produced that?
Tim and Hammy produced one song from Walking into Clarksdale. And then we toured with Led Zeppelin on their Mediterranean tour. 6 weeks.
I don't think Alex's mouth has closed for the last 3 minutes. Yeah.
Seriously, it's not. Yeah. It's not often I'm lost for words, but that.
Yeah, and I'm going to turn the camera around because up here you're going to love.
Oh my gosh, what are you going to show?
Oh, hang on. Right, Johnny's just frozen a little bit. Oh no, here we go. Whoa!
Oh my gosh.
Look.
Those are all my laminates.
Right. Okay, we're
going to need a photo of them as well, Johnny. Honestly, it was an absolute wall of lanyards and laminates, laminate passes.
Let me just get past this image of a young Sikh boy in Leeds, first generation, sneaking into his room to play on his dad's leather sofa, Led Zeppelin. 20 years later, he's playing with Led Zeppelin. That genuinely makes me want to cry. That is the most wonderful, wonderful image. That's just amazing.
Manifestation.
That's it.
Believe.
Oh, mate, love it, love it.
Johnny, I'm aware that your story could take hours, and I want it to take hours. we have to talk about live gigs. That's the only time I've said that as though it's some kind of chore, because I just want to tear apart every year of your life.
I tried to get somebody to do a biography, but I think it has to be you rated.
Oh no, it can't be. No. It needs to be all the warts and all, Johnny.
My family would divorce me.
Oh, mate. Well, let's do two versions. Versions.
We can do two versions.
Like, you know how films have an airplane version and the normal version. So we can do an airplane version of Johnny Kelsey's life.
Yeah, I like
that. Right. We'll do that.
I'm getting on that, Johnny. I'm calling you away from this podcast.
So if we go back to young Johnny, you had kind of music that you went to, but what was the first kind of music that you went, right, I want to go and see these guys. I want to go to that gig. And what was it, the first gig that was actually yours?
I went to see Michael Jackson on Dangerous Tour.
That was Alex's first gig.
It was your first gig?
That was his first gig.
Yes, Johnny.
Alex, that's the universe.
Yes.
And then something weird happened there.
Go on.
The tickets that I could afford were like near the back.
You were at Leeds. You played Roundhay Park?
No, I didn't go to. I went Wembley.
You went to Wembley, did you?
Were you in London by then, or
Wembley Stadium?
Right.
Yeah. And I took my wife along, and we were near the back, but halfway we had to come down a few steps around the tier of Wembley and then get drinks. And then when we went back in, I said to the usher, I said, listen, you've got to let us here because it's too cramped up there. My wife's pregnant. Just made it up. He let us in and we got really good seats. Really good. Really. She was really pregnant. I found out that week.
Amazing.
I know. I didn't even know. So that is something I will always remember. Always. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it.
That is brilliant.
Already, this is too much, Johnny. You're just treating us. You're treating us. This is beautiful.
Brilliant. By the way, just very quickly, because this has been an ongoing thing. So since the very first episode, Johnny, Chris and I, even though we grew up with our mums and dads going to various classical concerts and things like that, we had to choose what's our first gig, as a kid. And Chris had a cool jazz gig with Tommy Smith. And mine was Michael Jackson. We laugh at that. And you come on and say that you were at that Dangerous Tour too. And that has made my day. So listener, if any of you were laughing at me, yeah, I got Johnny on my case here.
Yeah, loved it.
And it was amazing. I don't care about, whatever related to Michael Jackson. As a musician and performer, he was outrageous. His band were incredible. And there was just nothing like him. I'm so glad that I got to see him.
Me too. Yeah.
I'd love to look at the lineup for that band, because I mean, my first big stadium gig was Eric Clapton, and I remember. I mean, I've still got the program, and the lineup of musicians that played on that tour was incredible. Greg Fillinganes and Nathan East, and just these absolute legends who Amazing. Kind of maybe not household names, but if you look at the list of albums that they played on, Ray Cooper, just unbelievable. Andy Fairweather Lowe was another one who was on that tour as well. But yeah, I would love to see the list of musicians that was on Michael Jackson's roster on the stage at that point.
I used to know most of them, and I feel really bad because without looking now, and so I won't lie, I forget her name. He had what's her face? The female guitarist who had
Jennifer.
Yes, that's it. She had massive mullet hair, and she
And fans, don't forget the stage fans.
Oh yeah, I know, that blew that hair even
Yeah.
bigger. It was outrageous.
No, I can't find it.
What were you looking for?
The program. I've got the program.
You have.
If Johnny had pulled that program out, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. So we always ask then, what is our guest? What is your earliest or your first ticket stub that you have, or memorabilia? Well, Johnny has already shown us he's got hundreds of laminates and lanyards on his wall from his gigs. He's got somewhere the program for the Michael Jackson Dangerous Tour. So I'm going to accept that as your answer. The Michael Jackson Dangerous program tour.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
So good.
Do you keep loads of memorabilia? Do you keep loads of your
I keep
tickets and all
everything.
that? Yeah.
I'm holding the official program for the London 2012 Olympics.
Ah,
Somewhere I'm in it.
beautiful.
Did you play at the closing ceremony?
Yeah, right in the middle of the stadium.
You've got to be kidding me.
No, we
Johnny,
played
is
to
there-
running
is there
up that hill.
anywhere or any occasion that you haven't played? Let's move on to Johnny, the live musician. So when in your life did you, which were the first band, or which was the first band that you played with that you started touring? Was it Transglobal?
It was a Bangor band called ALAP, ALAAP, and they were
Right.
the biggest international touring band.
And when you were touring with them, Johnny, what kind of gigs are you playing? Was it more of an event band or
Arenas?
You were playing arenas, were you? So you went straight to arenas, Johnny. So
This was 80s, wasn't it?
We went, 80s. No, back home we would be doing so there was loads of bands, Bangor bands, right? Two of the main popular ones out of London was Hero and Alarp, and basically all the others, they came out of Birmingham, and there was loads of them. At one time there must have been about 200 Bangor bands. It was unreal. There's
Wow.
that many music. I know there's that a lot of talent is just kind of dispersed. I don't know where everyone's gone, but anyway, there would be a huge demand for live bands at Indian weddings. It became a thing, and so they would basically play for like 3 or 4 hours. And this is my graft. This is my going to gigs, sitting on the speakers in the back of the band. That's me. That was that time. When I joined ALARP, it was like they had a camper van, which was like amazing. It was big. It was like a big Mercedes thing, converted into beds. We had a cooker, a stove. It was like an English Winnebago, if you like, and it was a splitter. So there'd be like 10 of us in there, completely like sardines in a can.
And were you playing constantly? Was this like? I mean, was this like an apprenticeship?
It was like sometimes 9 gigs a week, 9 functions. So we would do like a bank holiday Monday. We would do like an evening one on a Wednesday night because clubs in Bradford were cheaper to hire. We would do one on a Friday night, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, like that.
Yeah,
it was madness.
When you're doing this, Johnny, is there something in Johnny's brain that was like, I need to follow this other path? When am I going to get there? Were you thinking, how do I get to, I mean, obviously you didn't know then, but how do you get to playing with Led Zeppelin? How do you get to be playing festivals and touring with bands like Transglobal and Afro Celt Sound System? Were you doing this as all right, it's because it was there and it was work for you? Were you already trying to get out of that as such to do the other kind of sort of band and touring?
It was a little bit like that. Towards the back end of my ALARP days, I found myself yawning on stage while I was playing. That's a bad sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just thought, like, I would turn round to the drummer because he'd be at the back. I'd just be playing and yawn, and he would just laugh.
Mummy, did you see that drummer? He just yawned.
No, nobody saw me. I wouldn't, like, it became like that, just I was like, no, I'm just tired.
You
not
had a rock and roll dream
not
to fulfill.
stimulated. Well, that seed I'd planted and just let that one go. It went out into the universe, and I just kind of.
Sorry, I was just going to say, if you're doing 9 gigs a week, I'm guessing that was the repertoire changing very much, or was it basically?
No.
So that was it.
It was
the same thing every night.
That was the problem, and I needed something else to stimulate myself. And you know what? I always did think that band would make it huge, but they just kind of never really took the leap of faith and just, sign with a big record company, or nobody really was. It was difficult at that time, and even if they did, it would have been a one-hit wonder, and then that would have been done and dusted.
But I mean, it's pre-internet as well. I mean, it's that kind of band that would have absolutely killed it right now, because of the internet. And
I mean, I still have my love for all of the bands and that I've played with. Never burnt any bridges, and and then the transitional point was when I had to go and audition for Fundamental, because a few of their members left, and they were going to Croatia or somewhere to do some gig, and they said, "Would you come and do a rehearsal?"
Oh, so Fundamental was before the other two, was it?
Yeah, Fundamental
was before
the first.
Transglobal, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so
but the thing is about Fundamental, and this is something that I didn't know. That was my parting. And then Aki from Fundamental owned Nation Records.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And Transglobal and Asian Dub were on that label. Yeah. Sorry, I've got a doggy saying hello. Yeah. And basically, it was from that point it just went,
So I'm interested now in how you mentally, but also perhaps physically responded to, because when I think of Fundamental, Transglobal, Afro Celt, and I've seen all of those. For me personally, they are festival bands.
They are festival bands. Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen you all at festivals.
Yes.
And if I had to think of bands, who encapsulates Glastonbury? Who encapsulates these festivals? Well, it's Afro Celt Sound System for a start. It's Fundamental. You went from a lot of big weddings. You went a lot of, with the Bhangra band. How did you then cope with playing in front of a very different audience? How did you react to that?
I loved it even more. And I think the reason I loved it even more is because I was playing to an audience that never seen an instrument like this before. And
absolutely.
Whereas being spoilt in the Indian industry, everyone thought, "Oh yeah, it's a door player." Yeah, rolling their eyes because they'd like it wasn't new to them anymore.
It's like when in the Highlands of Scotland, if somebody gets a fiddle out, it's like, all right, yeah. Oh, you play the fiddle, do you? Well done.
Yeah.
It's actually world music and these kind of fusion groups. It wasn't to the 90s. I don't think people realise. It wasn't really until the 90s with bands like Fundamental and party bands, Afro Celt Sound. It wasn't until you came along in the 90s, not the 80s or the 70s, that it really got to the mainstream and to the music critic.
Yeah, true.
And I think people will change that. Oh, yeah, I was into world music in the 80s. Yeah, you might have been. But it wasn't until you guys and girls brought it really to local and then festival scenes in the 90s. So you really were part of quite an important movement.
Yeah,
did
a lot of
a whole time?
Yeah, I did. And when I know exactly when I felt it, it was at Whirly Gig in Hammersmith. Whirly Gig was probably it was like a monthly thing that they did, and it was like a mini WOMAD.
Right.
Was it in a public park, or?
It was in Hammersmith Town Hall.
Oh, was it?
Town Hall, was it?
It was basically like, these dub sessions, and they go on once a month, and the Purple Haze or whatever they'd call them, and
Yeah.
everyone would just pile down to listen to like some dub plates and just have a nice
Yeah.
evening. Back in the days, you were allowed to smoke inside.
Yes.
But it was a
Yes.
bit like that. But Whirligig was sort of like, it was special. It was like a mini WOMAD inside. It was
Yeah.
like, and then they'd get the parachute out, and it would all be lit with like, there would be loads of materials that would be fluorescent, and they'll put the fluorescent lights on. They'd get a big parachute out, and everyone would just, oh, it's just amazing. And then the DJs and the band will be on, and
From those early gigs, were you getting white faces at those gigs from the off?
yeah,
And so that really was sort of the introduction then, wasn't it?
yeah, totally. I mean, they were people that were peace loving. It was like looking at a bunch of hippies, really, honestly,
Yeah.
from the 60s.
Yeah.
Because I would walk in, turban, beard, I wouldn't feel alienated at all, because they'd all give
No.
me a hug as soon as I walked in, and completely welcoming. And there'd be Bobby Friction would be there, and he'd come and he'd have a bindi and just punk hair. And there was a few of us back then that sort of we took this movement, that crossover thing, that formula that we got,
Yeah.
and that feeling of we have to fit in, we need something because we need to fit in. So it was myself, Bobby Friction, Talvin Singh, there was Nitin Sawhney, and myself, and basically we were all into slightly different quirks, if you like. So I bought the mixture to the Bangra, because this instrument is basically is Bangra. It's this DNA is Bangra. Bobby Friction was the punk rebel, and he bought that, and that crossover. Talvin Singh, he bought the Asian underground, and his instrument was tabla, but he mixed that with drum and bass, and people just went, "Fucking hell, that's amazing." Nitin, he came from a jazz field, and he was like, a jazz guitarist, and he mixed his, and so we all kind of peeled off, and we all did our thing, in our own unique way, and everyone kind of succeeded, if you like, in a very special way.
It was massive. And what I find, and I could come across as a bit, I don't know, I might, people either can say, oh, you're just gushing, or I'm being disingenuous. But having lived through that, and genuinely, I love all those artists.
Yeah.
I actually interviewed Talvin Singh as a student in the 90s. Bobby and Nihal on Radio 1 in the late 90s, 2000s. Their Radio 1 show was everything to me, introduced me to a whole new world. You said that you all felt like you needed to fit in.
Yeah.
The result of that, because that makes me feel awkward, thinking that you felt like you needed to fit in. The result of that is those people you've just mentioned, yourself, Nitin Sawhney, Talvin Singh, Bobby Friction, whether they think about it or not, you are British musical icons. So whether that was you fitting in, I don't know if that means you fit in, but you actually created your own thing. And it genuinely makes me feel proud of the British music scene, because the 90s was full. I remember people thinking, Nitin's getting a new album. He's got a new album coming out. Talvin Singh, what is this craziness? What is, especially with the drum and bass thing, because that was from, perhaps different parts of the world. That was maybe coming from reggae places, or so. I don't know whether you felt like you fit in, or actually whether you created your own thing in, here in Britain.
Just while you were talking there's loads of things that were coming into my mind. So it was a difficult time for us, I guess the person that lived the closest to me was Bobby, and he only lived down the road. But I remember, being with Bobby, and we used to go skinhead bashing down in Hounslow bus garage. We got beaten up ourselves, but that was something we did because we had to. That was us fitting in. That was, you know, that was us defending of something that we believed in. You know, we believed in ourselves. We believed in all of that. They didn't know us for shit. So we were kind of like the movement that was kind of, we were there on the front line protecting everyone else, you know. My cousin was one of the front people in the Southall riots, you know, but at that time we were kind of, when I say fitting in, I'm talking about blatant in your face racism that we had to deal with while we were growing up.
Yes.
Even, I tell you,
Yes.
I was a drummer in school, but you know, the amount of fights I had in school and coming home with my turban under my arm was, you know, it became second nature with a bloody nose. It was, you know, it was a bit horrible, and that side of my life was a bit grim, but there was always a sense of we want to belong. We want to, you know, we want to do something that people understand, recognize us, and accept us for who we are. And that's kind of like the main part of it. And Bobby would tell you the same thing. You know, he would honestly, he'd hold his hand up and go, "Yeah, it's exactly that. That's how it was." But there was also a sense of, you know, we want everyone to just love, you know, just share it and just love us, you know, for who we are.
Well, I was going to say that how did that impact the music? Because did you feel like the love was going into the music, or was the anger going into the music, or was there a combination of the two?
Well, if you ever saw Asian Dub Foundation,
oh well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, and I did.
Or
yeah.
fundamental, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fundamental. Oh my
It was about all of that, and the frustration and the anger. Yes, it did, absolutely. I remember, you know, we used to open with a track in Fundamental called Blood in Transit, and I remember speaking to Aki about what that track was about. And Blood in Transit, it was like farting noises and just disgusting burps and puking and just like horrible sounds. And it was actually about people getting in the back of a truck coming to England, and it would be that way. If you cut yourself, if somebody needed to, you know, take a dump, they just did it because that was the only way. That was the only way. And so that track was there to portray all of that. It was there to kind of, and it put a different tilt on it in my head. Suddenly I realized this is more serious than what I actually thought.
Yeah.
And certainly more political, but you know, I never wanted to take the political route, and I never really understood it until sort of like Oni from Asian Dub explained a lot of things to me. I've learned a lot of things along the way, but you know, again, there's that sense of fitting in, that sense of belonging, you know, and you think you've made it when you've done the next big gig, but it doesn't last long. It's just, you know, it's just that moment, and then the week goes by in social media, and then something else happened, or somebody from a royal family dies, and then you're yesterday's news, you know.
Well, do you know what? Those bands that you've been in and been part of have given me a lot of joy. And I keep saying Asian Dub Foundation because I've probably seen Afro Celt Sound System more than I did Asian Dub Foundation. Yeah. But there was a moment for me because I was lucky enough to get Asian Dub Foundation from when they started, followed them along. One of the nicest moments I've ever had at a festival, real spine tingling, genuine joy, was when they played the main stage at Glastonbury. And there was they just couldn't stop smiling. They couldn't stop smiling. And it was a real, because they'd been built up even by the press. The enemy loved them. And then they got on that pyramid stage. And I just remember looking around, everyone going absolutely mental and seeing their faces. And I just thought, oh man, they've done it. They've done it. And it was one of the best live performances of any artist I've ever seen.
It was their pinnacle moment. Yeah,
it totally. Absolutely was. It was so beautiful. And I'm so glad I was there. I'm so glad I was there. Yeah. And it would never have even crossed my mind that, per se, that, you know, they were any different color to me. But when I listened to you I realised that for them as well, who are some of them are second, maybe third generation now in England, that was them finding their place.
Yeah,
that was them finding their place, and
absolutely,
it was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, we are going to take you on to the quick fire round, eh, Chris?
Yeah, quick fire round. So, well, it's just another set of questions, basically.
I hate these, yeah, but
Yeah.
go on.
Don't worry. I mean, we can just treat it like any other set of questions. It's fine.
No, it's quick fire. It's quick fire.
All right, okay, Dad. Favorite live band, the best band that you've seen live.
We know what we're doing here, Johnny, with these questions. We know that some of them are impossible, and that's why we like it, because we may ask you tomorrow and it could be a different answer, and that's fine.
Yeah, true.
What's your answer tonight?
Nice.
Jules Holland, Hootenanny.
That is a great answer.
You never expected that one, did you?
No.
I'd have been sat here for weeks.
Okay.
I'd have gone through everyone.
Mind-blowing moment. Myself and the Dhol Foundation, together with Jules Holland, opened the Millennium Dome in the year 1999-2000. and wait, it doesn't stop there, because I also recorded the OVO album, which became the Millennium Dome show that Peter Gabriel had produced. So that's me. If you look up a track called Weaver's Reel, I was only listening to it last week. It's an incredible track, and there's a whole story behind that track and how we recorded it as well. But anyway,
my kids nowadays say to me, whatever it is, and then go mic drop. Never have I known an interview. I mean, we've been chatting an hour, and I think Johnny's had about 7 or 8 occasions where he could have done a mic drop and just left the interview. Yeah, the Queen, Westminster, Tom Jones. Did I tell you about the Millennium Dome? Yeah, me. Led Zeppelin, been there and done that.
We were also the first across the Millennium Bridge in London.
Get in.
Yeah.
Love it.
that one that wobbled before they had to fix it.
The wobbly bridge,
the
fantastic.
wobbly one, yeah. So I was looking at the drummers going, this bridge is wobbling. And they're going, it's moving, and it really was. It was like,
oh my God! Wow.
Cut. We opened the Millennium Bridge, but then they close it again because they had to fix it.
I think the next question, I think, has become, as we've spoken, is become a bit throwaway, which is what's the best gig, or what's the gig you've enjoyed the most as a performer? But that could be so many. But I want you to think of one where you just came off and you just thought, oh, I nailed that, or we nailed that, and you were just on a massive high. Again, there may be loads, but tell us about one.
Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
See, so what you can't see.
I think I have this. I think I have this.
He's flicking through his notes and his photos, and we're going to get another mic drop moment here. I can tell.
Yeah, it was 1969. It was the moon landing.
Or so they called it, the moon landing.
Don't start.
That's another can of worms, isn't it?
In it.
Well, this band called the Sex Pistols, and they wanted someone to open for them.
Okay, I think I'm getting close. Here we go.
They were playing a gig on Christmas Day in Caerphilly, South Wales.
Oh yeah, that's that one. I remember that. That was good.
This is brilliant. Johnny's actually looking at visual prompts, which he's a man after my own heart.
Okay, it's coming anytime soon. Oh yeah, here we go. Right. 100,000 people.
Whoa.
So Johnny's shown us his phone, and there's 100,000 people. That looks to me like Hyde Park.
No, it's in Prague.
It's in Prague. You played to 100,000 people in Prague.
Yeah.
What band was that?
Afro Celt Sound System.
That was the Afro Celt Sound. When was that? Tell us what.
Look at that.
Okay, we're gonna have to.
Oh,
we're gonna have to put a link to a video to this because
Yeah,
Anyway.
we're going to get that. So this really interests me because these kind of certainly folk festivals or these kind of crossover festivals in Europe tend to get the most mind-blowing different artists on the bill. Can you remember who was playing on the same bill with you? I mean, what was the festival anyway? What was it called?
it was called the Colors of Ostrava.
Okay.
Yeah, it was mad. I can't remember. I think it was Skunk Anansi, Van Morrison. Yeah, it was quite a few. Yeah, I don't remember the rest.
Do you know what I mean, though? These kinds of festivals, they tend to, especially in the centre of Europe, they kind of maybe latch on to the fact that somebody's doing a European tour this way and another band is doing it that way, and they go, all right, we'll just pop off there and da-da-da-da. And you end up with Jamiroquai. I mean,
Jamiroquai.
You see what I mean? Like, just kind of random, but actually works really well. I think they're programmed really well.
Yeah, they are.
What's the most unusual lineup you've played on?
Oh, we supported the Orb once.
When you say we,
Transglobal Underground, and there was a bit of a buzz, and we were just like, it was just us, and then it was them for that night, and there was a shed load of people, and I thought, wow, I've never heard of the Orb. I've got to check these guys out, thinking it's a whole band. A crew of 14 turned up, and they plugged in these what was back then was ADATs. You remember ADATs?
Yeah.
Anyway, they plugged in loads of ADATs behind stage, and they had 2 massive mixing desks in the middle of the stage, and I thought, okay, where's the drummer going? And because I'd never seen him, and then there was this massive like hype. Lights were just incredible. Lights were, and there was a big. It wasn't a LED wall back then. It was like monitors. There was
proper
behind
proper
them.
TV
Proper
screens.
TVs. Yeah. And they were all wired up, and I was like, this is going to be something special. This band's got to be huge. Who the hell are they? Obviously, there was no internet back then. And 2 guys come on, twiddling knobs. I was mostly disappointed because I just wanted a band. I thought it'd be a band. Little did I know that their engineer backstage just pressed play on their ADAT machines.
I would love that. The Orb. I was mostly disappointed, Johnny Kelsey.
Knob twiddlers. That's all they did. And he was like, even through the disappointing drops, knob twiddling.
Have you ever played with Orbital or the Chemical Brothers?
No. But it's the same thing, I know.
Knob twiddlers.
I know. Knob twiddlers. They're producers that end up like, I want the limelight, I'm going to do this. So, you know, there's no front person. There's no, you know, all the vocal, everything's on sample. It's like, you know.
So with that, so the next question was going to be, what's your worst gig as a performer? But I'm just going to ask, what's the worst gig that you've seen in terms of being a punter? Maybe it's the same. Maybe it was the Orb and you were performing before.
I had just, like, we'd just done the gig, and then I went into the crowd because, you know, everyone was waiting for them.
So was that the worst one?
I was kind of the... Yeah.
Go on, give us a
Oh, no, wait.
Yes, come on.
It was the Sex Pistols in Prague.
When they reformed?
Yeah. It was in Prague, and it was a festival called Trutnov Open Air Music Festival.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were awful.
In every single way.
They just sounded horrible, really horrible. Like, honestly, I mean,
Was
no.
that disappointing for you, having
Yeah,
been sort of
really.
part of the punk
Yeah,
scene?
yeah, when I was in school, I loved frigging in the rigging. I just
Yeah.
that was just because it was one of the first songs that I listened to that had swearing in it, and I was like, yeah, but this is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you listen to never mind the bollocks,
Yeah.
it's crisp. It's I mean, the musicianship is, it's not virtuosic, but my God, they are sharp. They are
Sharp.
really on it. And
Yeah, but when I saw them live, honestly, Chris, it was such a disappointment.
no.
Either they were just pissed and stoned too much, just kind of like, nah, man. It
Yeah, I
did.
don't
It
like
didn't.
that.
It was like it's like the other time I was disappointed like that was when I watched Whitney Houston do one of those live concerts, and then she was just. It was heartbreaking to watch. Heartbreaking.
Right. Was it the end of her career?
Yeah, she couldn't.
Yeah.
She couldn't hit any of her notes.
No, that's
You know.
that must be awful to witness.
Yeah, and then it happened again recently, last year before, Eurovision Song Contest, Madonna. Like
Oh yeah.
a prayer. Are you for real? Like
Yeah.
that's an iconic tune. You didn't hit one right note, not one.
Yeah.
I was heartbroken. I really was, because the tunes that somebody in karaoke could have done better than that. It was awful, really.
What is your worst gig? Have you had any gigs where it just went wrong, or you just were like, that was a nightmare?
Yeah, I remember. There's a couple actually. I remember in the Bhangra band. Both of them were in that band. Jeez. In the Bhangra band, Alarp. The stage in this one particular arena, and I know where we were. We were in San Francisco, and we were playing such a big stage. The monitors were basically kept to the edge of the stage, but there was another 6 foot that went out. So obviously, if we wanted to hear ourselves, we had to be this side, the stage side of the monitors.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of a solo bit in the middle of a track. Got straight out there and thought, right, I'm going to go in between these two monitors. I'm going to do that. And then after doing an amazing solo, started stepping back, forgetting there was a monitor behind me. Ended up on my ass with the drum in my face, a whole gasp. I had my in-ears in. I could hear the audience just go like that.
Oh no.
Legs in the air.
Oh no.
Like we're talking 16,000 people.
And to
happen.
hear them just
hear the gasp like that. And then I basically thought, and the singer's he's singing and he's trying to help me up. It was one of those, and I just went, no. I got up, put my drum back on, walked right to the front of the stage, bowed and carried on.
Brilliant. I love this image of the singer coming to help you up, and you're like a drunk who's fallen over the bonnet of a car.
I said, no, you carry on. Don't worry.
I'm fine. I'm
fine. Crack on with it.
Yeah, I've got this.
Yeah, I've got it. Don't worry. I know what I'm going to do here. Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Yeah, that was
wow.
amazing.
Is that on YouTube?
No, I don't think it is.
Okay, shall I search for it? I'm not. Don't worry.
The internet days, isn't it?
I don't. It was a long time ago.
Okay, I won't even look. Look.
Honestly, it would have to be somebody with a video camera.
Yeah, I won't look. I'm not that guy. Don't worry.
Oh. So, last question in the quickfire round. What is your favourite venue? And it could be festival as well, as opposed to venue. what's your favourite venue or festival to play at? Which one do you think? Yeah, I love going there.
See, I want to say St George's Hall in Bristol.
Really?
But it's not big enough. It's amazing. It's such an like every
What's
time we
amazing
played
about it? What do you like about it?
Basically, when you go there, this place it looks like a church, and you play there and you're doing sound check and it sounds rubbish because there's no people in there. But as soon as the bodies come in, the balcony all the way around, and it fills up, the sound just changes, but so does the vibe. It's incredible. I have never ever, like, I've done a full on and on your feet, everyone raving, and then right down to a quiet little number with them playing tablas and they are so, it's just delightful, really. And it's packed every time. People are so disappointed because they can't get tickets. And we've only ever done one night, one hit wonders there, and then off again the next day, you know.
So you would like a good couple of nights, 2-3 night run.
Oh yeah. We could do 3 nights in Bristol. Yeah.
You have collaborated with loads of musicians, from Peter Gabriel to Avril Lavigne to Tom Jones, as we've talked about. Who would you love to collaborate with?
Dead or alive?
Oh, I thought you were pointing at me. I got really excited then.
I thought he was pointing at me.
I was collaborating with us. Oh, right. I'll just get my bass guitar.
The Dhol Foundation needs a saxophonist. I'm in.
Both.
So both dead and alive.
Dead has to be Mr. MJ himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I grew up just dreaming of not just being him, but being next to him on that stage.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen anymore. But alive, I would probably go with someone like, I don't know, one of these big American Guns N' Roses, or one of those kind of.
What?
I know.
Yeah, I like that.
Only for the reason they've never even seen or heard one of these things, let alone sort of, incorporate, or they wouldn't know how to incorporate something.
Now, you're saying one of these things, you mean
the Dhol. Yes, so we need to say to listeners.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The drum. It's just behind me here. Yeah.
Johnny's just next to the Dhol.
You've got one Michael Jackson song.
I've got what?
You've got one Michael Jackson song and one Guns N' Roses song.
Oh man!
You're allowed to collaborate with them and play your Dhol drum. Which one are you? Which 2 tracks are you going to go with?
I've got one for the Guns N' Roses. I know which one would work.
Go on.
Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh my god!
With Dhol drums. Oh my god.
That would work.
Yeah.
That would really work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Michael Jackson would have to be. Oh, do you know which one I really liked was that? Got that gold skirt made for me to wear on stage.
From the video.
If you watch, remember the time he's wearing black drain pipe jeans and he's wearing this gold sort of pleated skirt.
Yeah, it was like an Egyptian.
You could see through it.
It was like an Egyptian video, wasn't it?
But the material, I don't know what it was made of, but it had some weight to it, because if you watch the video, it just kind of drops every time he moves.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not light material. It's got some weight. You know.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know what it was, but it was intriguing and it was amazing.
I've thought of one.
Video.
I've thought of one.
I would say.
Can I just suggest Bhangra Black or White?
Bhangra Black and White, yeah. Yeah, that would definitely work. Yeah.
It's just that it might be a little bit fast, but actually, no, I reckon it could. Go on, Johnny, you had one in there.
The slow ones, yeah, I was going to say, they don't really care about us, or Dirty Diana, one of those.
Dirty Diana.
I fucking love that.
Was that I know Eddie Van Halen did Beat It, but did he do Dirty Diana as well?
No.
Was it not him? Who did that?
I think that was...
It was another band, wasn't it? It was...
Was it not Jenny then?
We're going to be we're going to be looking up all the track listings, I think.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have
that wonderful story with him doing that Beat It is that it was, they just pressed record, didn't they? Apparently the story is they just played him the song. He played that on first listen.
Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah. And if you listen closely, apparently you hear the studio door closing, because he literally just stood, went, played it, put his guitar down and just walked out of the studio. And apparently they left in the mix, they left that slight sound from the door closing.
There's lots of things like recording things like on that song. So if you listen to that song, the first time the backing vocals come in, they forgot to pull the fader up.
No,
yeah,
really?
and they left it in. When you hear it, you're just gonna go, "That's impossible." Michael Jackson, really? Like it's in the background, and then they come in second time, and the fader's up there, and then you go, "Oh, there it is."
I've totally got to listen to that.
Right.
I love stuff like that.
Listen to that. Listen to it, and then you're just gonna go, "Oh my God, how did they leave that in there?" And you know what? It's one of those things that no one's really clocked. And I've mentioned it to so many people going, did you know that bit? Why did they leave that? Like, he spent millions on that album. They couldn't just do that. Just put the fader up. Jeez. And then after, in the mix, it's just like, oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that one. I forgot to put that up. Never mind. They'll come in again. They'll come in again in a second. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to listen to that.
Do. Make sure you call my name out 3 times when you do.
We asked you about collaborating. I genuinely would like to know if there's anyone that you still haven't seen live, not played with, because I think that's different. You've got a different...
yeah, Michael Bublé. I've not seen him yet.
What, and you'd really like to?
No, it's just a name that popped up while he was.
He's not known as Michael Bublé in this house. We call him Mickey Bubbles.
Mickey Bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Bublé bath. Yeah.
I mean,
a Bublé
lovely guy. He seems like a lovely guy. And
yeah,
he does what he does. But I was thinking, I did not expect that from Johnny Kelsey. Although, you know what? Yeah, I did. I'm expecting anything. Who have you not seen live that you just think, oh, I really want to see them? It's still on your wish list, your bucket list or something. I can't wait. Go on.
Beyonce and her all-female band. I've heard that some amazing things, but I did also hear that CeeLo Green borrowed them for a little while. But all-female outfit. Incredible musicians, amazing band, and she's such a talented vocalist anyway. She's incredible.
Outrageous.
I think I've got some illegal acapellas of her old stuff, and
really?
No, I haven't really. I haven't got any.
Oh no,
I haven't got anything illegal. And yeah, she's just So yeah, I haven't, and I would love again to. You got to hear this, Beyonce. You got to hear this.
Yeah, that would sound brilliant. I mean, Jay-Z's done it, hasn't he? Jay-Z, who did he collaborate with?
Was it Jay-Z? Was it Musawala?
Well, maybe.
No.
But he also did the I feel so bad because it's one of my favorite
Is it
tracks.
the Mundia to Bachke? Hold on a minute.
Yes, it is. It is. That's exactly it. Banam, 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 mixed with the Knight Rider.
Yeah, I could have played it for you, but I've lost my little wooden bit.
Oh, that would have been great. Where's your...
No one minds waiting, because the truth is we can edit this break, so you look for your wooden thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, hold on. I could try and make one up. See if this will work.
What was his name, Johnny? I feel so bad that I've forgotten his name.
Who? Oh, Punjabi MC.
Punjabi MC. It's your boy, Jay-Z. Yes! Yes!
Get in.
Yes!
It's probably a few notes higher than that.
Sorry, forgive me, Johnny. What's that instrument called?
This is called a dumbi. Tumbi. Dumbi means
dumbi.
king. Means king.
King.
And it's one string, and it's just really. And this is a gourd. A bit of goat skin goes over the top. A tiny piece of wood. I'm using a bead for a bridge, and then.
Amazing.
That track, that Punjabi MC track. So when he released that, I happened to be living in Bradford. Right?
Of all the places.
All the places, right?
Yeah.
And I was actually doing some work with the deaf community, the deaf Asian community. But Bradford, for those of you who don't know, never mind knowing that it's got a high Asian population. No, what people may not know is that outside of somewhere like Southend, Bradford has the most boy racers in the world, and all the boys drive around in their cars that are lowered to the ground, massive sound systems. As soon as I hear that, I'm transported back to Bradford, and literally every other car every 2 minutes passing you at 5 miles an hour. They were only just playing, but that bass when it comes in, and I'm just, if you want to turn a dance floor crazy, just pop that on in the middle of your set. DJ.
Exactly.
You could be DJing any set you like. You put that on, and everyone's going to go crazy.
I'll get Johnny Kelsey in.
Yeah.
Yes, to play that.
I played the Dhol on it, so.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was in the studio with Raj. Yeah. This means Sunil.
We've just done all that, and then Johnny at the end there just goes, "Yeah, I played on that." That's the sound of another mic drop, kids.
That's what it sounds like.
And the singer in my band played the dumbi. That's him.
You haven't got Punjabi MC downstairs, have you? You're not going to say, "Hey, he's just downstairs." It's funny that.
Oh, mate, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. We have got just one more question for you. And
sure.
So with all our guests, we ask them to recommend a favourite live album or a live track, or maybe it's a video of a band or artist performing live on a YouTube video. What do you reckon we should go and see? What would lift our hearts?
A few years ago, a really dear friend of mine called Steve Knightley, he went on tour and he did a tour in cathedrals, and it was just doing cathedral tours. This tour was recorded wherever he went.
Wow.
And then I was on tour with the Dhol Foundation in America, and my engineer happened to be the guy that did all the recording, and he was mixing the album. And now you're going to ask me what it's called, and I don't even know. It's shame on me.
What genre of music?
It's folk. Folk.
Folk.
Yeah, and the band is called Show of Hands, and there's about 4,500 people that are hating on me right now for not knowing the name of the album.
We will find it. We will track it down. But
edit me in, and then edit yourself in and go in. Oh, it's this album, and I'll go, yes, that's the album. It's amazing. You got to go and listen to it. And I was there when it was being mixed, because it was mixed on the road. Nobody would ever know because it was a mobile studio, and it was incredible. The sound was amazing. Rob Waite did the mixing for it. It was incredible. Okay. Yeah.
We will check that out.
Definitely. And he's on tour. And the funny thing is that like we'd love to get Imagine Village together again, and we're just putting out a single. We're just like sorting all that out. It's just but working with Martin Carthy was just, he's just an amazing musician. And what I didn't know is Martin Carthy actually taught Simon and Garfunkel the riff for Scarborough Fair.
Wow.
Like, that's his mic drop moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a bad one, is it?
No, he's so blasé. Yeah, he's a total legend, and he's so warm-hearted, such a lovely human being. Love him to bits.
Well, I've just been quickly Googling Show of Hands, and at this moment we've got discography, Cold Cuts or As You Were.
As You Were, I think.
As You Were?
That rings a bell. Rings a bell.
Okay. That was 2005.
Then it wasn't that one. It definitely wasn't that one. It was much later.
Do you know what? We'll put it in the outro of the podcast and make sure that we've got the right one.
Yeah, do that. It'll be lovely. And incidentally, he sang on my album. He sang a track called Mother Tongue, which was quite lovely, actually. I gave him I planted a little seed because he was in a bit of a having a writer's block, and then I bumped into him at the Llama Tree Festival where I was playing, and we were just walking around. I said, writer's block, I've got an idea for a really good song, and then I gave him a little seed, and that was it. He was off, and he wrote this amazing tune called Mother Tongue. So
brilliant.
Check that one out.
Love it. Johnny Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you, guys.
Beautiful Johnny Kelsey. I'll be honest, at the end of that Zoom call, Johnny left us and Chris and I parted ways quite quickly. I sat on my sofa sort of staring at the laptop and just thinking for ages. Honestly, I was just so full of joy. What a wonderful man. I was on a high for a couple of days after speaking to him. He's a beautiful human being, isn't he?
He's a sweetheart. When I first got to know him as part of my drumming project, where I photographed loads of drummers based on their childhood experiences of drumming, and in particular drumming before they had a kit or before they had any equipment. And as we touched on in that episode, his thing was sneaking into this front room, which was, kept locked because it was, as they'd say, saved for best. Yes. And it was this Chesterfield kind of big chair, which he used to sit on the wrong way around and just use was it chopsticks on?
Yeah, porcelain chopsticks, I think.
But it was he said it was covered in he said to me at the time that it was covered in kind of cellophane as well, so it was really kept for best.
Yeah, his dad was proper keeping it, nice.
So we went to Band on the Wall to do his portrait, where they had one of these fantastic Chesterfield chairs. And my son Gabe was there with us, and Johnny was great and just looked amazing. He had a gig that night, which unfortunately I couldn't go to. It was Afro Celt Sound System, but he had so he was there, and his turban and his amazing clothes and fantastic massive beard. And but then afterwards he said, do you know if there's a temple nearby? I said, yeah, there's one, Cheetham Hill, I think. And he said, would you mind taking me there on the way back. So, but we ended up going to Temple with Johnny. Luckily, we both had hats, Gabe and I, so we could cover our heads, and we took our shoes off and went in and had the most phenomenal Indian food with Johnny in this. It was a really quiet time, I think, in the temple, and there's the women behind the kind of counter. It's like a kind of school canteen setup, and they were just putting all this stuff onto our trays. Oh my God, it was incredible. But it was just a really generous thing for Johnny to do. It was lovely to catch up with him again.
He was just great, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed his memory and his experience of doing that on his father's sofa, playing those drums, along to Led Zeppelin. And then all those years later, he played on stage with them. That genuinely made me tear up. What an incredible moment. And it's nice when we have those things. I used to play drums on Beano annuals with chopsticks, and I never played on stage with
Dennis the Menace.
No, it went wrong. It went wrong.
No, the universe, mate. But I mean, Johnny did text me later on that night, and an episode with so many coincidences and
just lovely moments.
Absolutely. But there was a bit of a sad one as well, because what he did was he sent me a link to an obituary that was in The Guardian the previous week. So we recorded, I think it was around about the 18th of May, and the previous week, almost, I think it might have been exactly a week before, Nick Page, founder of Transglobal Underground, died, sadly passed away. And Johnny had only just found out. He only just found out after we'd just recorded our episode. So, I mean, and if you don't know of Nick Page, just look him up and then look through the vast catalogue of work that he created in his life. Peter Gabriel described him as a great artist and a great man who carved a unique and well-deserved spot for himself in the British music scene. And, you know, looking at this obituary in The Guardian, that's understating it. He's quite an important figure in music from the 1990s onwards. So go well, Nick.
Absolutely, it was great, and it was great to talk about those bands as well that, you know, Nick created and that Johnny has been part of. Johnny, I just didn't realize how many times I've actually seen him live. You know, with Fundamental, Asian Dub Foundation, Afro Celt Sound System, Transglobal Underground. And it's amazing that he sort of spans various genres, you know, and playing with Tom Jones, and just musically incredible. So
we've got loads of videos that are up on the website now, and you can check out him playing with Sir Tom and various other incarnations, and enjoy, because his Spotify playlist is an absolute belter as well.
It's a belter. And before we go, let me just acknowledge, because it is one of my favorite songs, the fact that I'm talking about Punjabi MC, and I feel awful that I couldn't remember his name in that moment, and that he just pulls up that instrument and starts playing it.
Yeah.
Well, and happens to drop in. Well, yeah, that's me on the recording. Shut up! Shut up! You're kidding me. Amazing. And if that song doesn't make you dance, then there's something wrong with you. Johnny Kelsey, you are amazing. I love that one. Thank you so much, all of you, for listening. Remember, we are all over social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Gig Stories Pod. And you can email us at the usual address, which is
info@gigstoriespodcast.com. And as I mentioned at the start, the sun is shining. We are coming out of spring. We are moving into summer. And as a result, what we're going to do is, on the next episode, we are going to be using some different interlude music. We've got some new interlude music.
I mean, it's worth listening just for that, surely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I'll wear a different cap.
Or just a different jaunty angle.
Oh, I love jaunty angles. And come on, the real important, exciting news. I'm off to Cardiff tomorrow, and I will be back with my ticket stubs.
Get in. Okay, see you the next time on the Gig Stories podcast.
See you later.